Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about something a little more different than motorcycles. We're going to talk about information technology, careers, and where I've come from and my opinions on where things are going within IT and the latest fads such as artificial intelligence and things like that. And you know, if you're thinking about going into IT, it's a really interesting career line to move through. Now, I started 35 years ago professionally, but actually was playing around with computers from a very young age. I was very fortunate to be able to have ZX Spectrums and things like that, and started playing around. Now currently, we're in an interesting age where IT has virtually turned over to the mobile phone. But when I was in my years, it was great to then have a laptop, and that was sort of the end of the 90s where I started using that. But anyway, give you an idea of where I came from. I started being a software developer in my early years and did a reasonable job. I wouldn't say I was absolutely fantastic at it, but what I was good at is architecting data, being an architect for data with the databases of the time, and those databases haven't changed right up to now. I know we've gone through things like NoSQL and all that kind of things, and Internet of Things and all that kind of things, but it's all mishmash of rubbish stuff and things like that. That's all spiel. It's just spiel. So basically the foundations have not changed for 35 years. Yeah, we've got relational databases, and it's just how it's presented to the end user. So I started my career off as a software developer, and through no drive of my own, I ended up going into lower management, then middle management, and ultimately senior management. I've worked in the UK, I've worked in Qatar, I've worked in across Europe, and lived across Europe, lived in Qatar, worked in other countries temporarily for a week or two, and that's very interesting. But one of the points I'm trying to make here is that when you work in IT, people say, "Oh, you work exceptionally hard." You do work exceptionally hard. You're doing 14 or 16-hour days, and possibly at the weekend as well. And you're only being paid 8 hours a day for Monday to Friday. Bear that in mind. However, I will say this: had I not worked 16 hours a day and the weekends, I wouldn't have gone up to directorship level. Now, I have been at directorship level, but I'm no longer there, because at that level you become just very political, and you're not actually delivering the products or controlling the quality of the products. So I came down a few steps and went into project management. Now, if you're thinking about being a project manager, all you do, you go in, they tell you how long it needs to be, the timeline for delivery, and how much budget there is, and you get really, generally speaking, no inclusion to state how much it really should be after some due diligence has been performed to make sure the numbers are correct. Now, generally speaking, most of my projects have all failed. You either fail on quality, which is the actual project that you expect, the product that you expect. You fail on time, i.e., you were expected to deliver it within a year, and it took 2 years to deliver it. Or you went over budget. You were given £1 million, and it cost 1.5 million or 2 million, to deliver that product. And the return of investment is just pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. Now, that's not necessarily the responsibility of the project manager. It really is the responsibility of the sponsor. And a lot of people, when they become sponsors in projects, it's not their normal job. They have no idea, generally speaking, of what they are doing. And that's okay, but they are the key decision makers for how the project goes along. And on many, many occasions have I stated in some of my projects to the sponsor, you need to close this project down now. We're near at 20% of the budget or 20% of the timeline, and you need to close it now because it's going to fail, and it won't cost $1 million, it'll cost $3 million, or it won't take a year and it will take 3 years, or something like that. And the problem with the sponsors is they're really not that brave to stand up to their own businesses and say, we are going to stop this project even though we have spent an amount of money already because it's out of control. Now, one of the questions is, what do you mean by out of control? Well, that could be the supplier. I've worked with so many suppliers, and most of them are from India, and generally speaking, they are not great. This isn't an Indian thing. I'm just saying that some of the developers out there are... The developers are okay, it's just the management structure that's the problem within these suppliers. So generally, over the last 20 years I've worked with Indian suppliers and they've not been great. And the sponsor, the supplier is delivering to, of which I am project managing, is very reluctant to stop the project. And subsequently, the supplier simply takes all the money out of the account, out of the budget, and at the end of it, when there's no money left, the project comes to a massive halt, and everybody is going in for an investigation of what went wrong. And then you can look at my notes, and you can see that a year earlier I did say, stop the project now. The supplier's not up to speed. Now, there are why are Indian deliverers of technology not particularly great? Well, it's their architecture of people, their hierarchy of people. The developers are okay. Developers are fine. It's just the management layers between getting your requirement confirmed and then going to the developer, and he or she fulfills the requirement. The problem is there is a management layer of guys within that organisation that's the supplier, and they put their interpretation on whatever it is that they believe the customer requires. Now, that particular person has gone through some business degree and does not understand technology at all, and they then state to the developer what they expect. They don't allow the developer to create something based on a documented requirement. Yeah, and subsequently the product that comes out is not what the customer expects. And then you go around this rigmarole of, well, that's then change management, and that will cost you more money to get it fixed. No, we really need to stand up. Fortunately, I'm coming to the end of my career, so I can start saying things like this. Yeah, and I'm happy to hear your comments. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. There's more of this to come. Yeah, some reality checks on IT delivery across the big picture, to large organisations, to small organisations, and things like that. I'll also tell you why you do not need a virtual private network, a VPN. You don't need a VPN. Stop listening to these adverts that say, VPNs will save the day. It's absolutely rubbish. Yeah, unless you're living in China and trying to get out, or Qatar and trying to get out for a video call to one of your family, that's the only time you need a VPN. Yep. It doesn't matter. Just stop listening to this sales crap of VPNs. I've been working in this industry for 35 years. You just don't need it. Stop paying £5.99 for whatever VPN it is. Yeah, you just don't need it. So going back to the project management, we need to really start being a bit more tougher and a bit more experienced when it comes to the sponsors and things like that. Yeah, and the sponsors need to start listening to what's being said and actioning accordingly. Of course, you have, as a project manager, you've got to provide good evidence. Yeah, you've got to provide good evidence to support your claim. Yeah. Oh, a traffic junction here. There we are. That's fine. You've got to give evidence to support whatever you're saying. Good evidence. And always trust that gut feeling as well, that you know it's going wrong. And listen to your developers. Now, also, over the last 20 years, maybe a bit longer, we're moving away from what's called waterfall delivery, which is the typical way you deliver projects in many businesses, to agile delivery. For those that think that you don't need any documentation, yeah, stop thinking that way. In agile, you do need documentation. You always get documentation when it comes to waterfall, but you do need documentation in agile. Yeah, how you document it and what systems you use, that's completely up to you. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a tickle in my throat. So, would I go into IT now? Well, let's have a look at where we are with IT. We've got loads of social media where people are just using mobile phones. Gone are the days where people used to go and buy a laptop and work from home and things like that. They're just constantly looking at mobile phones. If it was the year 2000 and someone said to me, oh, by the way, Richard, by 2023, people will be walking around with mobile phones and just looking down all the time at the mobile phones, and I will be saying, what, you mean to say my contribution to the IT world and the world is a bigger picture has encouraged people to walk around with mobile phones and just look down at them all the time, and have an attention span of 4.5 seconds, like a goldfish. Actually, a goldfish doesn't have an attention span of 4.5 seconds. Yeah, I'm just saying, would I? I'll probably say to them, well, you could get a bit of a more meaningful job. IT's gone its distance from a mobile phone perspective. You can tell that with Apple. There's no difference between an Apple 8 and an Apple 14, an Apple iPhone 14 now. It's the same apps, it's just a faster processor and that's it, faster camera. And everybody believes now that they are fantastic photographers because they have an iPhone 13 or 12 or 14. And they're not fantastic photographers. They think they are. But the only thing that they're good at photographing is the breakfast, which they then show on social media. What's the world come to when technology has come to this point where it's allowing people to, it's not allowing is the wrong word, it's encouraging people just to state what you've had for breakfast. How bizarre. What a bizarre world we're in. And on top of that, I was always under the impression that technology was going to make things cheaper for everybody. So when I look at motorcycles, of which I'm riding right now, and cars of today, never have they been more expensive because of the technology that's in them. Now, I know that they say that cars are safer now. No, they're not. They're not safer because, when you go in an accident, you're going to get hurt. But they've got a lot of safety features that take over the mind of the driver and the responsibility of the driver. The safety features on this motorcycle that I'm riding, the Triumph Tiger 900 GT. But I'm still going to get hurt when someone knocks me off. Yeah, the technology doesn't help me. Yeah, but it does increase the price of the product. If you take all the technology off this motorcycle, it would have been £3,000 less, and the bike would do exactly as it is doing at the moment. Yeah, there will be no change in performance, there will be no change in experience, there will be no change in handling. The technology on it is there to make it look sexy. And it's the same with cars. No wonder cars are so expensive. And I thought IT was meant to make things a bit cheaper and more available to the end user. And that's not the case anymore. It really isn't the case. You know, artificial intelligence. Oh my goodness. And this is coming from someone who understands technology. There's so much crap on artificial intelligence on the internet and on YouTube about scaring people into whatever they want to think. And it's just bizarre. Let's talk about ChatGPT. ChatGPT, it just scours the internet for information and then pulls it all together and presents whatever it is that you've requested. The problem is, most of the stuff that's on the internet, 85% of the information that's on internet is based on people's opinions and not facts. And therefore, what comes out of ChatGPT is not wholly accurate. And that's the level of artificial intelligence that we have. Yeah? And we're not at a scary moment, and we're not moving into something that's going to take over the world. Yeah? Our politicians are doing a fantastic job of destroying the world. We don't need artificial intelligence to finish it off. And that will be eons away. Eons away. Anybody that's watching this will be far long gone dead before there's anything regarding artificial intelligence that becomes a potential threat to the human race or the planet or the solar system. So don't start panicking about that. Yeah, it's just propaganda to generate media crap. Yeah, they do. You know, it's just media crap. So going back, would I join IT would I take IT as a career now? Probably not. Probably not. It's not as interesting and it's not as productive as what it used to be. Everybody's just trying to make little apps for iPhone and Android, and 99.9% of them don't make it through. Because generally speaking, they're a waste of time. They are a waste of time. You know, I've been in touch with people that have come up with opportunities, and they said, oh, this is going to be a great app, it's going to change the world. And I say, really? It's going to change the world? Really? This app that's going to do whatever it is going to change the world? And then, you know, I just put them back in the place, and it's a very sad situation. I'll say, this is not going to change the world. And the £1 million sponsorship that you're wanting right now is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not cutting edge. It's not helping society. It's not doing anything really other than make people constantly watch their mobile phone screen and just ignore simple conversation. It's we're in an amazing world today. I know I sound really negative. I'm not negative. IT is a wonderful thing. But, you know, with a mix of the media and all that kind of crap, it's just generating so much confusion and so much dispute you know, we're in a crazy world where things are just quite bizarre. Things are quite bizarre at the moment in 2023. You know, you can go from things like wokeism to LGBT, and everything's going. And I don't disagree with LGBT. That's not the point. I'm just saying that the technology is just driving everything in the wrong direction, and then people are arguing constantly between each other for whatever subject matter it is. And maybe this is the plan for the governments, to get everyone at the peasant level. I like that term, peasant level, because we're all peasants, let's face it. Maybe it's getting them to keep occupied on things that are stupidly insignificant, absolutely insignificant and meaningless, truly meaningless. Just let people do what they want to do, and just get on with their lives. Yeah, if a guy wants to wear a dress on a Friday night and go out, that's absolutely fine, as long as he's not hurting anyone else, and he isn't hurting anyone else. You know, just as that's an example, that's absolutely fine. That's not a problem. There's worse things in the world at the moment than some guy going out wearing a dress and having makeup on. So, if you want to know anything about project management and where it's all going wrong and how we can fix this, reach out to me and put some comments in the bottom, or direct message me. If there's any other subjects you want to know in the IT field, put a comment and I can make a video on that. You know, and then we can start learning and start understanding a way forward. And, you know, if there's any Indian suppliers that are struggling and need real direction on how to manage their customers that are paying your way, reach out to me. Reach out to me and I'll start talking to you, and I'll start putting you on the right track. Yeah? Oh, just a final point. If you're still here, I've always said there are 3 things that you need to go and look at from the country of where the supplier lives. Yeah? If you are thinking about taking a supplier from abroad. So there are 3 things that you, as a potential customer, need to go and investigate. The first thing is, get in a car, go over to the country that you're talking about. You know, it could be the Philippines, it could be America, it could be India, it could be China. So go and get in a car. Here there are 3 things that you need to understand. Go and get in a car, hire a car out and go driving in the streets. If it's absolute chaos in the streets, that's the first red flag. If it's chaos in the streets, that's the first red flag, because if it's chaos in the street, it's chaos in the mind, and that's the mind of the people that are going to be managing the delivery of your product. Number 2, go into the equivalent of Tesco or Sainsbury's over there with a trolley, one of the large trolleys. And if it's chaos in the aisles where you're constantly bumping into people and people are going in different directions all the time, yeah, then that's the mindset of how your product is going to be delivered. The third and final one is, go and use a local ATM, a local cash machine. If it's hard to navigate the information on the ATM to get money out, and it's strange, and it's just really strange, then that's how your applications are going to be presented to your end user base. This is how it works, yeah? And I've been in various countries, and some are great and some are horrendous. Some are great, some are horrendous. And sure enough, based on those 3 points, it's a reflection of the quality of the product and the relationship you're going to have with your supplier. It's just a final point there. I hope you found this useful. I've been thinking about doing this for the last 2 or 3 years, but now I'm coming close to the end of my career line and thinking of packing it in anyway and sort of early retiring. So if you've got any questions, reach out to me, put them in the comments below. Reach out and I will come back to you, and we can take it from there. So have a great day. It's now June 2023 in the UK, and the weather is looking good for the next few days, and I'll see you very soon. Have a great time. Love and peace to everyone in this crazy world, and we'll take it from there. Don't forget to comment, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. I want you to subscribe. See you very soon. Thanks very much.